Alright, let's dive into something that's been buzzing in the sports world lately, the NRLW match between the Canterbury-Bankstown Bulldogs Women and the Brisbane Broncos Women in Round 5, 2026. Now, I know what you're thinking, another rugby league game, right? But personally, I think this one's worth a deeper look. What makes this really interesting is the context. The NRLW has been growing exponentially, and matches like these are no longer just about the score, they're about the evolution of women's rugby league as a whole. From my perspective, this game is a microcosm of how far the sport has come and where it's headed. First off, let's talk about the teams. The Bulldogs and the Broncos are both powerhouse clubs, but their journeys in the NRLW have been quite different. The Broncos, historically, have been a dominant force, while the Bulldogs have been building their reputation steadily. What many people don't realize is that these matchups aren't just about winning or losing, they're about representation, about showing young girls that rugby league is a sport for them too. If you take a step back and think about it, this game is part of a bigger movement, one that's challenging traditional gender norms in sports. Now, let's talk about the gameplay itself. I've been analyzing the highlights, and one thing that immediately stands out is the intensity. These players are not holding back. The tackles, the line breaks, the strategic plays, it's all there. But what this really suggests is that the skill level in the NRLW is skyrocketing. In my opinion, we're witnessing a golden era of women's rugby league, where athletes are pushing boundaries and redefining what's possible on the field. A detail I find fascinating is the crowd engagement. The NRLW has been drawing bigger audiences year after year, and this game was no exception. The energy in the stadium was electric, and that's not just because of the fans. It's about the community that's forming around this sport. What this really implies is that the NRLW isn't just a league, it's a cultural phenomenon. It's bringing people together, sparking conversations, and challenging perceptions. But here's a deeper question: what does this mean for the future of women's sports globally? Personally, I think the NRLW is setting a precedent. It's showing that with investment, visibility, and passion, women's sports can thrive. This raises a broader point: why aren't more sports leagues following suit? The success of the NRLW isn't just a win for rugby league, it's a blueprint for how to elevate women's sports across the board. As I wrap this up, I'm left with a thought-provoking idea: what if this game, this league, is just the beginning? What if we're looking at the early days of a global women's rugby league revolution? From my perspective, that's not just possible, it's inevitable. So, the next time you hear about an NRLW match, don't just glance at the score. Think about the bigger picture. Think about the players, the fans, the movement. Because this isn't just a game, it's history in the making.